Welcome to the Cutcast. Chatting Cut. Oh no, it's not that, is it, Dan? What is it?
It's Chatting Cats, isn't it?
Chatting Cats.
Yeah, we're going to talk about cats today.
We're going to talk about cats with Huw Wackman and DJ XL. This is going to be very much a story of two halves. And from my point of view, we're very lucky to understand a turntablist from the turntable upfaders and a crossfader era to the S11ism of recent, because this motherfucker has competed for 30 years.
An epic amount of time, and it's cool to have the return. You know, like it's kind of like it's the best Batman sequel you've ever seen, kind of thing. So I'm really excited to.
Well,
hear
not only that, one of the most original motherfuckers, not only in the turntablism world, but literally in the world.
There's going to be some boundary pushing in the next
boundary pushing, and and I've got a personal question. Excuse me, I'm quite ill at the moment, so please forgive me. There will be coughs and splutters, so I just train your brain to enjoy coughs and burps and splutters and dribbling, because that's all you're going to get this time. So if you don't like that, you may as well not listen. Anyway, I have got a personal question I've got for Huw, DJ XL, from his 2024 set. So I'm going to open up with that, and then we'll dribble into nerdy. Should we bring him in? Is he ready?
Ladies and gentlemen, DJ XL.
There we go. There we go.
Sorry, boys. I was just
alleviating the nostrils, mate.
Leave that where it was.
I can't believe you didn't congratulate me on one of the best podcast intros ever done.
Mate, fair play. I was concentrating on that massive mug of coffee you had.
Well, that's it, mate. That's it. I'm going to need it. I'm going to need it with the amount of energy that you seem to have and the mentalness that goes in up there, which hopefully we're going to manage to pick out faster than you were picking those greenies out of that schnozzle of yours.
Let's see what was happening. Let's see what's happening.
Right, so let's kick this off. Right, so the 2024 DMC UK finals. We said hello to each other. We didn't chat. It's the first time I've actually spoken to you. Wow. And you don't know me well enough to know that I will bash Pioneer, S11s, and all of the new turntablism just because I'm old. I've got a bald patch, and I like to feed the bald patch with oldness and grumpiness. But in all reality, I do like the S11. But what I like about turntablism is the two upfaders and the crossfader and the strict restrictions that grow from that creatively. But you did a move, and the move you did actually really resonated with me. And I saw it as an artistic thing. And whenever I look at art, I try and perceive what the creator's perspective of that art was. And it equally terrified me and equally entertained me. I fix turntables. I'm constantly fixing tone arms. And you turned your Mark 7s up on their side and you battered the hot cues on your S11 with the tone arms. Yeah. And I was sat there nearly throwing up in my mouth. Kind of happy they were Mark 7s and not the legacy models. But also pondering, I kind of felt like it was your last stand and you were coming up there going, these are the original instruments of my craft. And I'm going to hit the new instruments of my craft with the old ones. Please tell me that was your thought process and not just, fuck it, I'm just going to hit things with tone arms.
Exactly what you said.
Oh, yes. Yes.
It was literally just because what it was, I wanted to get them fucked up so no one else could use them after me.
But they were all using phase. You fucked it.
I know, they're all using phase. But that idea came from Star Wars originally. Well, actually, I've had that idea. Most of these ideas I've had for years, a long, long time. Obviously, I wasn't being a turntablist for such a long time. Like, it was a 25-year gap from the time I won it until my last competition was 98. But this year was the battle. It was the first battle I did. And I turned it on its edge. And then my mate said, it looks like a TIE fighter. So my mate, Rob Riddell, well done, dude. I like that. So I'm in the process of doing a Star Wars version of that.
Really?
Where I'm where I'm Darth Vader. And instead of using the KRS-One track, it's all using Star Wars, sound effects and stuff with a Darth Vader helmet on it. But just trying to, because it looks like a fucking. And I'm in the back. If I can get it all set up with a green screen, I'm going to be in the trench.
Amazing, mate. If you need a place to come and record it, hit me up, man.
Well, mate, that's probably if you've got a green screen, that'd probably be a good idea. But mate, the idea. I was just looking for stuff that no one had ever done. And obviously you couldn't do that on the old mixers back in the day.
No, you couldn't, no.
But a lot of the stuff I've done, it's just now that mixer came out, the S11, it changed a lot of stuff. I mean, I still don't know how to use hardly any of it on there because I still treat it like it's an old school mixer.
Yeah.
I like the basics. Just keep it basic. That crossover, when you can cross over 4 tracks and all that shit, I wouldn't have a fucking clue.
Do you know what's funny? So I spoke to, I interviewed John First.
Yeah.
He had a hand in making the S11. Right, he was one of the DJs involved in that, and he said he doesn't know how to use it all. The guys who made it don't know how to use it. I think we're in that world, though.
Well, as you know, when you're battling, mate, you can't take the risk of fucking up, especially with the tech, because it's very easy to. I mean, I messed up a load in the World Finals when I was in San Francisco. I was sick. I was really ill, but as in puking ill. I know I'm ill. But I was really ill, and I just thought I can't risk. And I pressed a few buttons and it didn't work. And you had to go across the screen and then go across to the sampler and double click to get where you want to go. And it's just another layer of problems.
Yeah, and
so it's hard to. So I try and keep it analog as much as I can, and then introduce some tech thereabouts if I can. But yeah, that was my favorite one. I mean, no one's ever done that before. I thought it was just really unique. How'd
you come up with it, man? Well, what's that process that you go through to come up with these ideas? Because the thing is just for context, people listening, I had a car journey with Excel, and we won't go into too much.
It's become a legendary journey.
Legendary journey. But the thing that was interesting is that when we were sitting on the way home, which was arguably the more hungover and less interesting journey back, right? But the thing that got me was you had loads of these mad ideas. You had loads of them. So you clearly got a process that you've that you can turn the handle on. And I'd just love to hear a little bit about how you come up with these ideas.
Well, I've always been known for sort of innovation rather than sort of, to my detriment a lot of the times, because a lot of the times I've done it, I haven't practiced it enough. It's, back in the day, it's very different to what it is now. It's very friendly. Oh, well done, mate. Well done. All this shit. Mm. But back in the day, it was like, if you had an idea, you could not show anyone because you would get skanked straight away. And he just wanted to destroy everyone with something new. And it was so innovative at that point of time, right away from 87, when I first did my comp, right up to 98. That time, 98, 2000, they were just the best years of all of it. I mean, it was just incredible. So I've always come up with loads of different ideas. If you look at all my videos, there's always something crazy on there. And I didn't really give a shit about if it was executed 100%. It was just like an ideas machine. And I just thought it was a bit boring doing the same stuff because I could scratch really well, but I wasn't interested in scratching. I liked seeing all the other guys doing all the tricks and stuff. And that's the era I came from. And I just found it really easy to find stuff. And I surprised myself this year. Like I could come up with another 4 things again, which haven't been done before. And what I do, I look at the deck and I just turn it around and I just try and see, like, I've got one when it's like a, if I got to Paris, I had them up like this, like the Eiffel Tower, and they had a flag on the top.
I can feel the pain in his eyes.
I know it's killing you. And then in the middle of that, I had the record in the middle with shoelaces around the legs, so I could face. I was spinning the middle, so I could spin in the middle, record in the middle, and then I was drumming on the side and using the cue points. So but I looked like a fucking praying mantis trying to get my hand. So I was like that, trying to get it. But it's pretty interesting. But from that, I come up with this other idea, which is spinning the record on the shoelaces and bringing it down and letting it fall down like that, which I've sort of developed. And DJ
like a yo-yo?
Yeah, sort of like that, actually. And I've posted it's on my Instagram, but DJ Noise put an amazing comment. Thanks, DJ Noise. It's one of my favorites ever anyway, saying it's pushing the boundaries of like a new art form. What
is your Instagram? So people can check it out.
Huw Wackman.
Huw Wackman. So you've dug into Huw Wackman. Then you're in. That's it.
Well, yeah, I've got the full fucking panty suit on.
There we go.
Well,
And
look, this cost
and
me
for the
about-
ladies.
Yeah, for those.
I'm just letting you know it's cold in my room.
Yeah. Well, for those that are listening on the audio, I'm not gonna tell you what happened. Then you're gonna need to go and watch the video on the YouTube because that was just ridiculous.
The ones who are listening just to audio, I've got a massive cock.
There we go.
So
So when I saw you at the DMCs, right, and my DMC 2024 first DMC experience, I feel I was a little bit disappointed by it. There was no screen upstairs above. There was no people sort of chin wagging and going, "Oh, hey," you know what I mean? I thought I was going into a really nerdy experience, and the crowd were rowdy. I couldn't see anything that was happening. There were arms flailing, hitting hot cues. You know, so my sort of looking back at the 90s ones of all the sort of craziness that goes on, it didn't really happen there. And then you turned up. And then you were doing some crazy, totally non-scratch related, non-beat juggling stuff. And I was looking at it going, this is probably one of the most entertaining, pointless things I've ever watched. And I kind of felt like you need to go and do it somewhere else. You're like a personal art installation. Do you know what I mean?
I'm the Jackson Pollock of turntablism.
You are. You are, and I feel like there's a massive
the Wackman Pollock.
Yeah, the Wackman. There's literally a wider audience for you out there because I think it was lost. You know, especially when you picked up the turntables with Patrick Swayze on it, and did
the Swayze at the end was fucking awesome.
I was like, what the fuck? I was like half annoyed and half thoroughly entertained, and then I spoke to Dad. Go on.
I was going to try and pick up Static, but I don't know if he fucking would have gone for it.
No, I think there would have been some health and safety risk
give him
assessment.
Give him the fucking Patrick Swayze. But he took it in good faith. I wore his face for most of the set I battled him with. So it was like the fucking Silence of the Welsh.
Yeah. So like, after that, I was like, Dan, who the hell is this person? Like, what is he doing? And what the hell? And then Dan explained to me that you're DJ XL from before, and then I started hitting some of your records. And one of my favorite things you've ever done is over the money tune. I can't remember what it's called.
Oh, no, Play It Underwater.
Play It Underwater. That is probably one of the most innovative. And have you not seen that?
No, I've not seen that one.
So you know when something goes underwater and it's
Dude, bring it up on YouTube. Bring it up on YouTube now and watch it now.
We can't do it on this because we'll get done because
if you've never seen Now Play It Underwater, I'm surprised because that's the one that, man, if I play that now, that gives me goose pimples even now on my arms.
It is so good.
From the memory of it, just from memory. But I actually did it in my winning set in 2023. Only briefly, I just rehashed it a little bit, just because I did a flashback because Prime Cuts was the person who I lost against in the 98 final, where I did that. And then I found out that he was judging in Boomtown. So when I did that, I said, now play it underwater. And I just did it with a different track. And I just pointed at Prime Cuts. And he
so good.
Knew, but no one else would have known, but he knew because that was the last time I saw him.
Do you know what? So I'll explain it to Dan and anybody that hasn't seen it. And please, everybody, please go and watch DJ XL. Was it 96 finals?
Most real turntablists have seen that.
Oh dear, Dan.
Oh, shots fired.
Oh dear. So basically, it is the least technical thing you could ever do, but the most innovative.
Oh,
because
that's what it's
because
about,
he's
impact.
just literally just twiddling his fingers on the record. And it goes, play it underwater.
But you're missing an element. The Technics mixer back in that day had that amazing filter on it. Yeah,
I own 5. I might add.
Yeah. So when I first did, I was this close to not doing that set. I was going to do like a SmackDown set, like Your Mama's So Fat and all that sort of stuff, and just do individual things to all the DJs. I was going to say, but Your Mama's So Fat, those slaps, what they call snaps, what they call them, something like that. And I did this thing, and I showed my mate, and he said, "Mate, you fucking got to do that." So what it is, it's For the Love of Money, that track, killer tune anyway. Mm-hmm. But back in the day, you chose good tunes, so you just didn't do it on random shit.
Yeah.
So I had that tune, and I just started just doing like the Twiddle, but on the track. So started going blah, 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 like you was doing, blah, 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 like that, like a bulldog. But then that filter on the Technics mixer,
take the bass down and drop the treble,
sound like it's underwater. So it went.
It was literally like one of the best
from
things.
Rock the House, I think this judge definitely goes, because it's the beatbox, he goes, now playing underwater, and it went and the crowd just went fucking delicious.
It was so good. I was watching that in bed, right?
wild,
And I showed Melissa. I was like, watch this. And she gave me please stop showing me old men playing on turntables. I was like, no, you've got to watch this.
I was fucking 25 there. What the fuck you want?
We all looked old back then. It's like we've transgressed in age as we get older. But
Benjamin,
I'm younger now than I am. My body's better now, anyway.
Well, yeah, tell me about it. Yeah. So I showed her it, and she was like, "Oh my god!" It literally like those sort of things. They transcend turntablism.
Yeah, well,
they really do.
I appreciate you saying that, because there was a videotape out on one of these mix like Mix Mag had records out back, magazines out on all these different DJ magazines, and they brought out the top 10 ever tricks, and that was one of those tricks featured.
I bet it was
an old videotape. But I like watching the judges in the background, because you see the judges, and when they realise what's actually happening, they just you can see the change in it. But it's funny, because on that night, I was doing some beat juggling with Eye of the Tiger, and we actually used albums, and they were shit, and it was all over the fucking place. And I never really did a lot of beat juggling anyway. It was always competition stuff. But I'd come up with loads of ideas on that night. Like I did this sort of the crab, but with the needle, and I was the first one to do that. And then
that was ridiculous as well. That was absolutely ridiculous.
I think this +1 went on to use that then the year after, but loads of people started copying that then, just doing that. Now it's actually quite hard to do, because I got fucking arthritis everywhere. At the time, it's just a killer move, so doing that shit.
Right, so I was scared to ask you this question, and whenever we have some of the old boys on, we have Random on. I don't know if you know that, but he was absolute originator, like yourself.
Random, we go back a long way, me and
yeah. He said. So I asked him what things has he done that has influenced the new guys, and he's a self-professed, not non-originator. He just does the craft. But you're the opposite. You literally innovate. So what things have you done that people do use now? And I think this is going to be quite a large list, isn't it?
Oh, man, it's hard to say, because my head's fucking huge already. So it's like
it's all right. It's widescreen, man. You're all good.
Yeah.
It's like a fucking melon. Well, I'll just go from one of the first things I did that everybody copied, which no one had done before, is, I don't know if you've seen the 1991 UK final.
I have.
1990 UK final, when I come second. And I put the needle on the left-hand side and turned the bass straight up. And now there's a million connotations of this. And then I used a snare on the right-hand side. So you can see back in the day, halfway through that set, I fucking turned into a disco dancer. Yeah, I mean proper disco dancing. Check that set out; it's fucking amazing, and I loved it. And that's why it's so awesome. Everyone did shitty dancing, like I was shit. Kofi was amazing. Kofi dropped some amazing. Ola Bean, all those guys are so good. So I turned the bass right up, and I drummed on it. So I and then used the snare to do the drumming. So it's. And no one had ever done that before, and nobody
had ever used a turntable as a percussive instrument,
like drumming. And now I see that everywhere in so many different variants. And then I did the showmanship thing, because obviously even back then, most people won't remember this, but back in the day, there was an advert for Hamlet cigars, and it was all about
that was ridiculous.
It was all about if someone fucked up on, and they would just sit back, and it was that track, the classical track. It was called boom, boom, do, really like some on a G string or something like that, And then, so the first time I did it was in the heat in Birmingham. When I say this heat was like better than any UK final, any world final, almost like the world finals. That's how amazing the heats were. Right, this was the Birmingham heat in the Institute, and I dropped this. I did this set, and then I pretended that it was scratched. I looped it up with a sticker, and it just went like I think it was from Can You Kick It? And it was like mid-set after all my stuff, and it was deadly silent, and there was so many people in there. And then I just dropped back with this massive light, and I tested 15 of these lighters to get the biggest flame. This went boom, boom, and even now, the air, I could remember the air from the crowd of the response from it, and it just blew the place apart. And then I redid it then in Gold Diggers when I did the UK final, and obviously it loses its but in Birmingham it was just unbelievable. It was amazing. So, and then I went to the European Mixing Championships in Amsterdam, and that was very, very interesting. And when I was in there, so I went there. They flew me over. When I got there, DMC flew me over on my own, and my mates were all coming over on the ferry. And when I got there was no fucker there to meet me. So I was fucking 19, 20, something like that. So I was on my own in London, in Amsterdam, and I was thinking, I'm gonna get fucking pounded here. So
Pounded?
Pounded, yeah. You know, I was young and beautiful, and you know,
assigned your own red light and put on a corner somewhere.
Be careful what I say. All I knew was the name of the club where the final was going to happen, right?
Yeah.
So there's me, a couple of bags, a couple of record bags, young, beautiful guy, hanging around the corner on a nightclub in the middle of the day. Just like this. Like looking for business, basically. And I didn't know anywhere else. So I ended up just going into this bar and sitting down, and this lad come up to me, right? He was a London geezer, and he goes, all right, mate, what's happening? You don't look too happy or something like that. And I just started chatting what happened, and he said, it's not here, but I know where the actual, he actually knew where it was. So this dude helped me carry all my stuff, took me to this, to the hotel. I met DMC, I dumped on my ship. We went out he took me around the red light district, showed me around this guy. And then at the end, I thought he was going to ask for a hand shandy or something like that. He just fucked off and said, dude, good luck. Shook my hand and left. He stayed with me almost all day and made sure I was all right. And he was safe.
Nice
Nothing,
dude.
didn't want anything at all. Really stuck out. But I'll get to the point about people use my stuff. So then when I went to the European final, the next day we was in the finals. And this is where I first met DJ Mac from Ireland. And what a guy that guy is. He's amazing. I still speak to him a lot now on Insta and stuff. Well, he is amazing, man. And he's like me. He's very patriotic, and he was just doing his thing. And I loved it, right? It stood out. And we went to the heats, and this guy from Greece or somewhere came up to me and he said, where can I get that record? The one you did the cigar to? I want to do it in the world final if I get through. I went, dude, you can't fucking do that. It's mine, yeah?
Wipe my shit, man.
He came up to right up to my face, and he didn't think fuck all about it. He just went, where can I get it? Where can I get it? I said, I don't know, dude, but you do realize that's Biden or something like that to him. And he went, no, I like it. Whatever. Anyway.
But there is an undercurrent in the turntablism world about that. And your story has progressed through the world, but I don't think you've ever publicly spoken about it.
I have a few times, and I don't get into it because I'm not, you know, I don't like causing trouble about things that don't matter. And I mean, if there was something that someone had done and they'd made a load of money off it directly from me, it would be a different matter. Like if it was copyrighted or something like that.
Yeah.
But let's put this in its place so we can have an open conversation.
I'm not going to say any controversial stuff.
No,
because I've gone this far, and I've done loads of interviews, and I like all the people that are involved in what I'm guessing you're asking about were all my idols when I was growing up. So let's frame this properly. Yeah,
so
I wouldn't knock anybody or diss anyone.
No, of course not.
It's just DJing. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. But you've got to think when you're younger, like I said, the battle scene then was different, right? Now, if you come up with something, people will be like, "Fucking hell, that's amazing!" Oh man, and you've got this, yeah. Hi, Mum.
Yeah.
You've got this, so there's no denying anything.
So if we frame this properly, and we're going to.
But I'm not going to diss anybody or
no. We don't want disses because this.
I know you wouldn't ask me that, but discredit. I'm not going. But I'll tell you what as far as I want to go, my honest opinion.
Perfect. So if we're going to frame this properly, right? As an innovator, you come up with things, and as an innovator, just by the sense of the word, you are more likely to do things first. And when you do things first, people are like, wow, that's really good. I want to improve on that. And people take it and they put their own spin on it.
Well, think about the BlackBerry and the iPhone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Steve Jobs, I think he said, didn't he? He said, it's better to come second.
It's better to come second because you can. But if we're going to look at this correctly, I think if you were one of the first people to do this on a crossfader, then you have your right to say how it came up.
First person to do it.
Was the first person to do it. You have the right to say where you were. You have the right to say who saw it. And you're not by any means saying anything negative about anybody that took that technique on and progressed it in their own way.
Man, I know that. Look, when I was younger, I'm a lot mellower now. Dan probably wouldn't think that after spending 4 hours. But when I was in my 20s, mate, I was fucking vicious, yeah? Like, I would say exactly what I wanted. But you got to think, like, my idols when I was growing up, turntablism-wise, I had pictures of Hubert, I had pictures of Cutmaster Swift, Cutmaster and Pogo. And they were on my wall, and I got that photograph. I don't know if you've seen it with me, Pogo, and Swift. That was in Swansea.
Yeah.
And that night, they're my idols. You got to think that we didn't have access to anything. Like, all the
no video.
Very different. So when they come down, we're like, fucking hell, this is amazing. You're trying to pick up ideas and see stuff. So everyone takes different things, but like all these early guys were my idols. Like I said, they were on my wall for a long time. And the crab or twiddle, whatever everyone wants to call it, whatever progression it is, that came from me trying to learn the flare scratch.
Okay.
So no one in that time in Britain was doing a flare scratch. Everyone was doing sort of
closed fader stuff,
Premier stars, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got to think, when I first started scratching, or any sort of DJing, I had a Panasonic sort of with a little cassette tape, a belt drive on, and like a turn up knob volume, and then another one was one of those record players with a bar about this big, and you could fit 8 records on at the time, and you could stack them all. This arm would come out and go drop one, and then the arm would come out and play the one, and it would go back up and drop another one, right? Well, that had an up fader, and it was a direct drive. I didn't know anything about slip mats or any of that shit. So I remember having a UTFO track record. So I sawed the spindle off, so it was about that so big, snapped the plastic arm off, and then that was my 2 decks. One was a turn-up one, and one was that. But we didn't have any mixers.
That's absolutely amazing.
Well, there's a picture on my Instagram.
Absolutely amazing.
It's got Superman photographs and curtains in the background like that. So, and then we've got a stereo at the back as well. So you've got a cassette tape, then you've got that, and then you've got that. So this is why it was very easy. I find it really easy to mix records now, because we used to mix by ear just by slowing it down like this, yeah? But there's no mixer, so you had to know all the BPM. I didn't know what the fuck BPMs were, but I knew that's a certain speed and that's a certain speed.
That song will go with that song, and that'll go with that one.
That cover goes into that cover, because it was all about covers.
Yeah.
By my covers, yeah. So I knew that shit. And I had my 2 techniques. My dad got me from when he was made redundant.
Yeah.
And he recently passed away, the poor bugger.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace. He was amazing, my dad. But I found my book where I was paying for my turntables, and every week I would pay £15 a week. His name and my signature next to it, and I've got the book with me signing it all, and it took me
that's amazing.
The last year to pay it all off. And I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, so what would happen then is I would just go through, and I had to wait then for 6 months to get a mixer. So I had my decks for 6 months, because that's all we could afford. And the smell of them, they smell like original Technics. They're amazing.
Oh, yeah.
And so they were lying on my floor like that, and then I just couldn't afford a mixer, so I had to wait and get one. That was like a phonic thing, a big, massive phonic thing with huge, like, those slider faders. And then 2 of these tracks. And then eventually I just built up a few records. So on a Sunday, I would start with one, mix in, and then I would go backwards and mix down. So slow to fast, fast to slow, and go back the opposite way. And then just as my record collection grew, that's how I would sort of get involved in it.
So you were using, nobody was really doing the one-click flare in the UK.
Yeah, sorry,
you had used the up fader.
Yeah, as far as I can remember anyway, well, there was loads of these mixtapes, but no one ever did it in the DMC competitions anyways, up until before, 90, 91 and all that. no one was doing any. And even then, I don't think they were doing flares in '91. I think it was little bit later. But I was trying to learn that because I was on Galaxy Radio and I just won the Vestax UK final in Bristol, actually. I think it was called Papillons back in the day, down by the fire station.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I won that. I won the Bristol heat, and then I won the UK in Papillons, and I won the UK final. And I was doing a thing on Galaxy Radio because I used to live in Portland Square, in St. Paul's.
Portland Square. Yep.
I used to DJ in Cozies. Do you know Cozies?
I know Cozies. Yeah.
So I used to DJ then. A funny story that I used to have to put ice on a beer towel, and then ice on the amp because it always used to
overheat.
Get too hot.
So dangerous, dude. It was mad, but it was. I had all these American imports. No one had that sort of music down there at the time. Really good times. But so I was on Galaxy Radio. I was supposed to be doing a show. So I did one before I went on, and then I went to Japan. And when I came back, I'd learned how to do the flare because I just watched what people were doing. And I was talking to the lads, and then they saw me do the crab. But the lead up to that, the actual crab, whatever you want to call it, Twiddle. I didn't even name it. That's what even fucked me off the worst. I didn't get a chance to name it. Everyone names it. I was going to call it the finger bang. I'm
not sure that.
Do you know what? You can tell that like scratching has been somewhat dominated by men, right, over the years, because there is even a scratch called the tug job. It's like Jesus Christ.
I've heard that. That's one I don't want to learn.
Yeah.
So you started doing the twiddle, trying to get a one-click flare.
So I was in Bristol, and about 6 months before I'd even gone, I was building up to this Vestax thing, yeah. So I had a lot of stuff from my old DMC, stuff, and but it was always sort of the Premiere sort of, sort of cut in, which is amazing anyway. But I've never. And then I heard all the other guys in America doing this, and I was thinking, how the fuck? I didn't have DVDs, really, couldn't really see anything, no videos. You could hear it all. And I was just trying to, how the fuck are they doing that? I'm just trying to do the flashback. So, but leading up to this now, I knew this competition was coming up. So I come up with all these different ideas. Like, I was just trying to work it out. And at the time, now with hamster, right? If you scratch hamster, it's easier, right? Because you haven't got you haven't got a distance to travel, right? So you haven't got all this travel. You're just going this way, tiny little bit.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, how can I get this? Because I had thought it was because I was doing the transformer like that, and I was thinking, how are they getting so fast with it? So I tried everything I could think normally, up faders, anything like this, just trying to get a fast. I was just going like that, trying to get a fast cut. And it just, your arm just dies, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So at the time as well, I found it easier. So I started doing reverse because it's closer, Not with a switch. I just started killing it this way. Because you're going backwards on it. And I just found that was easier. And then I don't know what happened. I was there. I used to practice for hours on end, hours and hours on end.
You're worse than me at getting to the point. I fucking love it.
But you can trim this shit. You can trim this.
We ain't trimming nothing.
Do you know what he's like? He's like, when you go to one of those, when you go to like, I don't know, a theme park or whatever, and you've got those sort of like weird spiral things that you put like 2 pence in, and it goes round and round and round and round and round.
This is there's lots in here, right? And one day there'll be fuck all in there.
Yeah.
So it's hard to. There's a lot of memories in there, man. It's a lot. I've done some wicked stuff, and I do jump back and forth, but it's
it's amazing, man. It's nice to hear the history and to hear the reality of it all as well.
Yeah, I mean, and it's no big thing. It's no like I used to do everything by 6 minutes. Then I used to wank for 6 minutes. I used to walk for 6 minutes.
Of course.
I used to eat by 6 minutes. So I was in training, right? Everything was 6 minutes long.
Everything. Yeah.
Shag for 6 minutes. And then my mate would come and hand me a record from the side of the bed. You're like,
right, okay.
No, I'm not going to go that far. Anyway, let's go back, guys. Focus. Where we were was tried it this way. Didn't work fast. Then I obviously realised that I thought let's get a bit closer this week because the hamster you can get a quicker cut. That's what I thought. And you got to think, what was I using at the time? It was either an old DMC, the black DMC mixer. I couldn't afford a Technics one. I think I had the black mixer, the DMC. So it was good, but it's quite limiting compared to what we got now. Man, you wouldn't believe it, would you? Yeah. I mean, I prefer the other stuff, but what can you do? And then I just messed around, just trying to do it. And I remember just going like that, and it went like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something like that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I just fucking stopped, and I just knew immediately, that had never been done before. Yeah, immediately. Yeah.
So I'm going to put you off track a little bit more, and then we're going to get back to this.
Go.
There is a massive thing about the correct way to do a one-click flare, and there's a group of people that say no, you cannot do a one-click flare with a twiddle, and there's a group of people that go two-click. Well, whatever. Yeah, doing a flare using a twiddle instead of tapping.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I haven't got a clue because I can't do it. But no. Well, you got to think, right? I haven't scratched, like professionally scratched and battle practiced. My last time where I was serious, like where I would be on it every single week and every day, like most people do. That was 98. That was the last time I properly all the time through it. Then I'd just been DJing, been in bands and stuff, and just I never really did any turntablism. I kept the level of scratching from the 1990s, which was wank, and just basic, just enough to get by. I never really focused on it. Like everyone else has continued to practice all these years, so I came back into it like without having any scratching. I just haven't done it.
Do people think that it's not correct doing the flare with a twiddle?
Well, with a twiddle, if you can drop it like this, but you can also go. You can step it like you can, and you can do a really slow, by just crawling it, and then you can just double it up. So you go, and then you can sort of walk it, and but really slow, and it goes bump bump, but like it's drumming, and you can get a really nice sound out of that. I was so obsessed by it. I just knew there's something special there. But when people do the crab, they don't do 4-click crabs. They barely do 3, and if anything, they do 2 because it's easier. They do twiddle, right? Most people do the twiddle, right? And they do at most they'll do 3. And I rarely see anyone give it the full because it's hard to perform, especially with fucking sausage fingers like them as well. I got big hands, so. I'm not going to say who did what. I'm glad it went where it went, right? There was further development from what that I got credited for. But also, I didn't even name it, so it sort of just got taken out of my hands, literally, without having an option. Because this is the problem: as soon as it got seen, it was taken, right? Yeah. So the person who actually invented it I didn't even have a chance to name it myself or any of that stuff. So I don't really care. I mean, I showed it to Cuba and other guys, and they actually said, "Oh, I'm going to bite this," like joking. We're all going to take this, and I showed him in a record shop called Paco. That's the one I'm with Cuba, and I had an amazing time. They were wicked, such nice, really nice guys. I loved them all. Melody, Rapmatic. I met him in San Francisco. Met Cuba again. Shortcut. All those guys. That was the last time I'd seen him was in Japan. But you got to think they were my idols. At the time I didn't really care. But when you see, I've seen so many videos now, and I don't even get mentioned in half the videos for any of those sort of cuts. And inventing a scratch that changed scratching. It's a big thing in turntablism. Like look at the way that there's a debate about transformer scratching, for example. Right? Who did that and who did that first?
Is it okay to perform a one-click flare with a twiddle?
I don't know, because I'm not a scratch nerd. Yeah.
Okay.
So I can barely scratch now. This is why in the DMCs, I didn't have the reason I did the set I did in when I won the DMC this year, because I didn't have the time. And you got to think, I didn't have turntables, I didn't have a mixer. I had 3 weeks. And a broken finger, and I was from all that finger banging. Now it's been a smart ass. cycling no-handed with a shopping bag, and
I did that. I've done that.
Cycling, and I was down by the river.
I thought you were going to say you were popping a wheelie with a balaclava on for a minute there.
No, not I wasn't selling the drug. But I went and grabbed my handlebars, and it snapped my finger. So, and then during that time, I got fucking really ill again, really sick. So for 2 weeks of that 3 weeks practice, I was really, really sick. So that's the reason I went back to what I knew I could do, which was showmanship and coming up with different ideas. So there wasn't a lot of scratching. But the funny thing is that the Huw Wackman thing, in 2017, when I was living in London, just before I moved to Barcelona, before that I was going to enter DMC in 2017 again. I had shitloads of ideas, like loads of stuff. And I called it Huw Wackman because I didn't want anyone to know in 7 years ago that it was me trying to make a comeback. Just, so that's why I said on the video, you'll see it's Huw Wackman. That's like 6 or 7 years old, that video. The original video, that's when I was in London.
Do you know what I love though, right? So I'm thinking back to the DMCs last year, and you had your turntables set up in the Star Wars formation that you were talking about.
You saw it in the hotel room, which
I did. I was like,
one was fucking like that.
Well, the best thing about that as well is the table wasn't level and all sorts. It was quite an entertaining thing. But what was amazing about it though was the second you came on, right, the whole audience moved to see what you were doing. And in some regards, not having it up on the screen actually helped because you could see, can't remember who you were against first, but they were just like, I'm fucked here.
DJ Yoke, wasn't it?
He's taken all of their attention straight away.
Well, he's a really nice guy, actually. He was
just in the set. Oh, he was a lovely bloke. He's a lovely bloke. And just in the setup, straight away, just whoom. Everyone's like, "What the fuck is going on here? I've got to go. I've got to get a piece of this." And I think you honestly, I know you won that round, and then Static took it in the second round, but. And we'll get onto that in a moment. But the thing is I think you won that first round in the first half a second because you were just unbeatable at that point. And I do wonder, because your showmanship stuff is fantastic. It is fucking hilarious. I mean, you had the what did you have? You had like a blow up penis with a sucker on it on the thing. You took the mick out of the Hop Tour, bloody whatever. Pictures of Static's face, spin me right round.
I wore his face, and then he was on the back of the deck as well. But he took that. He took that quite well. I mean, fair play to him. He did say to me, "So that was wicked, mate." But I think he's got the mask. I think he was wearing the mask afterwards. But
it was floating around the green room for a while, for sure.
Well, the whole point, I've never done a battle before, and when I see battles now, I don't see any battling going on.
Yeah, I agree.
I just see this button pushing going on. And there's no disrespect to button pushing, but I'll happily
disrespect that all day long. You're in the right place.
I didn't see any battle. The only one I saw was doing battles in the UK one was Rasp, and he was wicked. He goes, "Fuck, hey, you fucking cunt." One of them started off like that. It was wicked.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, we're on here. We're on.
We need more dissing, I feel.
And mine was just riddled with disses and all specific to each character. So I had one for Yoke.
How'd you diss Wackman though?
This is why that's why I called it Wackman, because the whole name came from "you whack man." Right?
Yeah.
You whack man, and I just thought, oh, Huw Wackman, and it sounds like Hugh Jackman. I just thought it's a good. But even if you think I'm whack, you can't call me whack because I'm calling myself whack.
Yeah.
So it's a good. You can't really battle it. It's an unbattleable name, I guess.
I've got a question for you then. You know, and you sort of alluded to it earlier, right? Which is, so what do you think's like? What do you think's better, the old days or the new days?
Can I give you a chance to think about that? Because it is time to see what DJ Random thinks of this. And you've been one of the hardest ones to tie down to question Random about. So I'm going to call him quickly.
What are we asking about? The oldest or the newest?
Oh no, yeah. We'll go back to that. Sorry, you're so hard to tie down. I'll try and get random in every time.
Right, let's make this quick because I am up to my fucking eyeballs in hot gas.
Thank you, random. So, DJ XL thinks there should be more dissing in turntablism battles. What do you think about that?
Fucking hell, yes. If you can't call your competitor in a battle, which is a war, an absolute fucking fanny, then you really shouldn't be in the game. Fuck
Yeah,
these
boy.
absolute whiny, wet blanket shitbags. Bye.
So, yeah, random's hung up.
Good.
So I'm sorry. You're like, normally I can trap people into getting a random question, but you have been the hardest one ever, and I just had to get it in before 11. So
Okay.
yeah, going back to what do you think's better, new or old?
Yeah. So what do you think?
So I've got a theory that the guys from sort of 98 to 2001, if they were against the guys now, I feel that they would win. What do you think about that?
I agree, because number one, the styles are very different, and you've got to think that you're a lot like I was obviously, and I was like 17, 18 when I first started, 87, something like that. And I went through like almost 10 years without a break, more or less. There was a couple of years I didn't do it, but almost 10 years solid, just all the time. And there was such innovation in those 10 years. Like it went from mixing, because it was when I first entered, it was still mixing competition. You were still mixing it with a little bit of turntable. It was still, I was dancing. I'm mixing. I Got No Strings Pinocchio with Public Enemy #1. No, that was my first one in Swansea, and I mixed Grapevine with Planet Rock. And that's actually somebody wanted to produce that. Somebody came up to me after doing that with I bet you wondering how I knew with boom, boom. I did a Planet Rock mix, and somebody wanted to put it out as a like a record at the time. It was wild. So it went from that. Then it came. The turntablism came into a lot more. Then it went to a point where it was kitchen sinks, Chad Jackson style, and all these everything you can think of, chairs and fucking elephants and all that shit. And then it went to speed and DJ David, and then it went to the jumping through the legs, like DJ Tricks, amazing guy, Liverpool guy. I think he was Liverpool, jumping through the legs. Really, I battled him in Birmingham years ago. I didn't get through one of the heats of my early years, and that was in a place called XL's, randomly enough. But he won
it at your own home.
Yeah, it was mad. It was mad. I've still got the name tag thing. But it went from that, and then it went to speed, and then it went to, then it started coming into more. Beat juggling became a real thing, and then when everyone started learning the flair, then all the scratching shit came in. Scratching shit, it is turntablism, I guess. we class it as turntablism, like scratching. I'm not sure.
S11ism. So, from an innovator, I'm going to support the new guys because I feel that you lot had the 30 years to innovate, do all of the obvious stuff, then do the slightly harder stuff, and then squeeze the last bits of real skill and innovation out in like sort of 2001, 2002. So I feel the new boys, even with all of their buttons and their S11ism, I feel like they haven't got much left. Now, you proved that to be different, but in a different way. Technically, are there any new bits that could be done that haven't been done in the last 30 years?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm not knocking the new boys; they're awesome, but it's a very different style now. I think if there's a house style. There's been a house style in modern turntablism for a long time that hasn't really changed for a long time. It's very button heavy. So that doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. It's just
definitely not.
It's focused on the hot cues.
Yeah.
Instead of doing beat juggles just purely on the records like it used to be, which I thought is harder, very hard to do. And it's on vinyl, man. You got to think, man. It's on vinyl.
A lot more trial and
very
error too, and like song selection in it too. I think.
Yeah, the song selections was very different.
Now, because you're Serato and everything, I mean, I'm certainly guilty of this. I know that other competitors in it are we built edits, to make our lives easier.
Well, I build edits, but I don't play tracks that people don't know. I try and stick to old school tracks that they know what I've done to it.
Yeah, so you can feel the flip.
So they know.
Everybody's saying this, by the way. Everybody we talk to about this says you've got to use tracks people know, so that people who are new to it can experience the flip.
Here's an example.
It's just someone doing stuff on stage.
Well, there's a couple of examples of it. Like the main one for me, one of the most telling things about music choice for me. Like I said, I've been into it since almost the beginning. I'm still doing it now. I think I'm the oldest active turntablist still going. I think.
No, you are.
I'm the oldest.
You are, I think. Yeah.
Who's still taking
You're
names.
the turntable tortoise.
I'm still taking names.
Yes.
What can you do? So an amazing example of that, like there's one guy from Japan. Is it Brewer or Brewer?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure.
Now this guy is just fucking incredible, right? He did a lot of the stuff when it was online. Unfortunately, it was mostly when it was online. And he's doing that. You know, Paul did the thing the other day, last year, Walk This Way, and that was amazing.
Yeah.
And the
What, Lenny?
Smith in the house,
Yeah.
Smith in the house, Bad Boys, and Simon in the House, amazing guys.
And the thing about the Lenny thing, that the cleverness on that's got layers, right? Like
Yes.
there's the fact that the fact that he like stacked the things. It's so for anyone listening, Lenny Goldsmith, he stacked two Fays on top of each other. He set them out so that they were an eighth note apart from each other, and he basically did a strobe pattern. But it was on the song Walk This Way, and the way he did the strobe pattern was with the up faders making his fingers walk. And it's like, that is...
I thought he should have won
levels.
it. I thought he should have won that.
Levels.
Well, let's get to that UK final in a sec, because there's lots of good stuff there.
Okay.
But I wish I knew his name, Brewer. And this guy, how he hasn't been world champion is beyond me, because you're on about Paul doing that, yeah? But this guy does that like it's fucking walking.
I know who you mean. He has the strips across his thing as
long
well,
hair,
doesn't he? Long hair, yeah. And he's in that tiny little studio.
What I'm trying to make is he plays songs which I love. He just sticks to what he loves, right? And he just sticks to his genre. And it's a lot of Japanese sort of anime style music. Yeah.
It's all like local stuff. Yeah.
I can guarantee you, if that was in a live event and he was doing that on KRS-One or The Bridge Is Over or anything really familiar, he would have been the world champion.
He'd have won
only because of his musical. It's not because I didn't like it, but I think it is as a whole, people didn't understand the track, didn't know what the track was. Right.
This is it.
But he is fucking. That guy is incredible. Like, I'll be honest with you, if I was in the supremacy battle and I had to battle him, I wouldn't even bother.
Just come out with a white flag, mate.
I would just say,
smoking the cigar.
Boom. Just let it happen. I'd say, yeah, dude, you're through.
You're through, mate.
You're through. I wouldn't even say fuck all. Because I think he's that incredible. That guy, how he didn't win the world final. I think he came second or third a couple of times. You watch that guy, it's just fucking flawless.
Yeah, it's
flawless.
mind-boggling. I know
there is a definite house style now compared. I think, obviously technology is going to do that and change it. I sort of zoned out for a long time because I just find it a little bit samey. I know, because before I could shut my eyes and know certain DJs of their style, and it wasn't all one track.
Yeah. And
now I feel like it almost sounds like almost one track without any breaks in it.
Yeah.
There's the occasional break.
Do you feel like the innovation's missing? Do you feel like we're just not innovating anymore, or do you feel like it is still really innovative?
Well,
but it's just not.
I don't know. I kind of think that there's more innovation happening because there's a new piece of technology that people are relying on, but it alienates people. Especially, I know how an S11 works, but I don't know what it does because I don't use it. So I feel alienated when I'm seeing these guys hitting all the buttons because I don't really know what they're doing. Yeah, and I feel like that technology.
This is where I think the role of showmanship becomes really important, right? Yeah. Because if you can use showmanship to bring people into what you're doing when what you're doing doesn't make sense unless you know what it is. But you have to be thoughtful about it.
That's what I've always had to do because I've done sets like I did the 1996 set, and I didn't even qualify that year. And you can see there's a really low quality video of it. But I started off with my arm in a sling.
Yeah, that's great.
That is a wicked one.
That's great.
And the one deck was on the other. I'm juggling with one hand, right? And then I just take it off. You try and bring them in through a bit of fun, but there is loads of stuff that is still available to do. I just think there's a house style. When it went online, I think it was a bit safe because you can record your set
multiple times,
over and over, right? So there was no way of failing. You couldn't fail until you got the last one. We all know when you press record, you fuck up immediately. Right?
Yeah.
But you have the option to keep going back.
Well,
and
you
back
just
and
leave.
back.
You just leave it recording. I mean,
you get a good one.
Do you know what's interesting though? Right, and this. So when I came back from the DMC last year,
was you in it last year?
I was. Yeah. When I came back from it last year,
or should I say David? Should I call you David?
David, yeah.
They kept, when I came back from it, I did record my things. I wanted to put it up on socials, and I did do it. It was the first take, and it's like the only time in the history of ever I did that. And I think it was because it was like you're so sort of built up as you're coming up to it, and you're practicing it a lot.
Yeah,
you've got the stress of the competition. The stress was gone, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, well, we know the outcome now, and all this, and it's like, like relaxed and just bashed it out and was like, fuck, that's great. But yeah, you're right. You can just sit and record now for a long time, and
you can't say it hasn't focused. Everything isn't now focused on buttons, because it is. Everyone, I've done it, but
he calls it S11ism. Yeah. So it's not turntablism anymore.
Well, it is that, but that's a house style that I see now. Whereas before, remember I was saying through the different decades, there's different styles, or different every year there'd be a different style. There would be speed, and then there would be tricks, and then kitchen sinks. But this one seems to have hung around because. Tell me the last time that you saw anyone lift a turntable, manipulate a turntable, other than myself, really, and maybe a couple. There's one guy I think I saw, and that's not me, Big B, and I'm the only one who does it. But show me that there's been some kind of physical trick with a turntable.
There's not much, mate. But I think some of this is because people are seeking innovation, right? Because that's part of how you win these things.
Yeah.
But like, there's not much. There's not been, maybe there is more you can do with a turntable innovation wise, but there's not actually been that much innovation with turntables. Like, they're still pretty much the same thing. I mean, even the Cross 12, right? Like, which is probably the most innovative bit of turntable gear. The only innovation beyond its function really as a turntable or as a DJ controller is that it's got some extra buttons on it.
I've never really used one. I've been on a demo of one. I've never actually.
I think they're amazing, and I would love to have a pair because it would solve a few problems for me. But the thing is like, if you're looking for something new to do, the mixer, which is now basically just a computer, is probably the place. Well, where you're going to find new things to do, right? Because that's where you can have new functions. You've got all these effects. You've got stuff you can do on that, and I think that's partly why. Is like I feel like the technology always leads. And the technology sets the sort of, like, if you think of it as a wrestling ring, it sets the kind of ring and the boundary of the ring. And then the turntablists are inside that trying to get out of it. And they're stretching those ring side as much as possible. And then someone comes and goes, here's a bigger ring, right? Here, back in the day, it was here's two turntables and a mixer with a crossfader that doesn't really work, right? And then it's like, now the crossfader can cut. And so the turntablists again. And now we're at a place where it's just so much of what's outside of that original ring is basically all about the mixer.
Well, I think there's a really interesting point here. And the fact is, anybody with a base understanding of how a record works can look at somebody manipulating a vinyl and a crossfader and go, oh, if they know the tune especially, I see what they've done there. Oh, that bit doesn't normally come past in that bit. Oh, what's he done with the second bar of that? So anybody with a base understanding of a tune and a record player can look at it and appreciate what's happened, even if they don't get the finer points and the sort of the innovations and the real technical stuff they're doing. Whereas with the S11, it is a box. You don't, unless you own one, you don't understand it. And unless you understand it, you can't appreciate what they're doing, which is alienating what was the larger crowd back in the day. And obviously the limitless possibilities of the S11 doesn't restrict anybody. So you're not stuck to a groove and you're not stuck to a beat, because you can tear it apart, manipulate it in Ableton and do what the hell you want behind the scenes and then create a set out of it, which I feel is going to be quite difficult for turntablism to move on and get popular again, because 90% of people, even DJs, don't understand what that mixer does and what's happening, because you're pressing the same button.
Yeah, what do you got? The mixer as such, like I said, I don't use it to its full capacity because I don't need to, and it's another step. I mean, I think it's amazing. I mean, let's get real. If that had come out in 1991, you'd have been all over it like a rash. It'd been fucking amazing. But I use some of the filters to do certain things. You know, I used the fader pitch when I was doing the drumming thing, so it steps down whack, 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 whack. And I've got a whole set when I'm using the fader pitch, and it's fucking amazing. But just didn't use it. I ran out of time. I didn't have I'm just using the up and down faders, so my fingers are on the records like that, and I'm just moving them up and down, so going ba 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 ba, you know, and it's making all these different melodies. Because I'm not really a fan of the tone thing, the tone generator.
Yeah, I don't
it's
like
not
that
individual enough. I mean, anyone can do a tone on it, and even if you did an amazing set, it's always that same sign.
Yeah.
Thing. Whereas the fader pitch, whatever track you use on there, it really changes things. If you go back, everyone used to make their records, but they used to use vinyl. So it's not. There's no different. All this is a technology bump, but the same thing used to happen when you get all the crews getting together. All that is on records. They've pre-made all those records were pre-made. When I was DJing and the Perverts and all those guys, all that was just off records, quick mix. That's why.
But kind of like
that. You'd have a stack of That's why a record feeder, because it's so quick, it would help you get it on there.
But with that Technics mixer, with that Technics mixer, popping down the bass and moving the treble to get a filter feels naughty. You're hacking it. You're doing something it's not supposed to do, and that's exciting. When you have a filter button that says filter underneath it, and when you move it, it filters. You're just using a function that's given to you for free. So I feel like that naughty, hacky essence. Because you've got the software to do what you want with, you've got the buttons to do what you want with. There's no naughtiness. There's no making something do it it's not supposed to do. And I think the excitement and the stress of having a jumping needle is eliminated. So then
it is. But again, we're fucking years later. Do you know what I mean? It's like that TIE fighter setup I did my first battle. This is why hardly anyone's seen any of my stuff, right? Because unfortunately, in this year's UK final, last year's, the stage was high and the crowd was low, and there was no screen. So
that was so bad. And Lenny,
unfortunately, like my last set, I come up with this like really ridiculous idea, like crazy, which no one's ever done, with a record spinning on my mixer, right?
Yeah,
and my whole set was made backwards. To make it go forward.
Make it work,
It was a killer set, and I mean, if I'd got that onto the world stage, it would have been really shown, highlighted. But I'm gonna lead into something later on. I've come up with my own idea for a DJ battle, and I've got one of the big players involved that they want to do it. They've agreed to sponsor me partially.
Let's talk about that now.
So I'm looking for somebody else to get other people to get on board. But
do it at the Scratch Cafe.
Well, it's a difficult one because I have got one big player we've had a meeting with, and they're keen. I'm not going to drop the name, but they're keen to get involved if I can get the others involved. So I'm just waiting on a few people to come in. But it's similar do you want to hear the idea?
Yes,
definitely. In case someone steals it, and then we're going to be back to fucking this all over again.
Yeah.
So my idea is called Unstoppable, right?
Go on, Em.
That's the name of the DJ battle. So it's similar to a DJ battle, like the Supremacy thing or the ITF years ago. You might not like it. I think it would really change the way, it would really excite new generation. So, for example, you had 8 DJs. It's going to be I want to do it in the UK first, by invite only.
Mm-hmm.
You get two rounds, 4 DJs,
4
DJs, right? But you draw straws or draw a number, right, from 1 to 4, and it's winner stays on. It's not battles. So if you go on number 1, you have to have 4 fucking incredible sets. You can't wait and think, I'm going to use this one because he or she are not that good. Because you could get to number 3 and I draw number 4 and I come and do one set, wipes you out, and I win. So I can win by doing one set. And you might have to go through 4 fucking rounds, but you have to be incredible. So what it does, it forces everybody to be unstoppable. Every set has to be unstoppable, right? And it's a luck of the draw. You could come all the way from fucking Japan, and you go on, you just pick number 4, and you've won, or you've won the round, and then the final 2 battle it out in more traditional stage. But the tension and the excitement of that would be amazing. The rules are that you have to use one physical trick of a turntable, right? You have to have at least one showmanship in the set, which brings it back, to
back to original,
like.
yeah.
And over stimulation of the buttons, right, are penalized.
Okay.
So you can't focus purely on, but it forces you to create every set equally, right? And for the crowd, it's just incredible, right?
Yeah,
it's just such an. So the layout would be like an amphitheater or like a boiler room, right?
Yeah.
So you would have decks in the middle, like we were back in the day when we were DJs.
Yeah.
Everyone around you feels the energy, or stepped up slightly going backwards. So at least you can look down on the DJ, and you've got a panoramic view, so everyone can see it. All the judges can see it correctly.
Yeah,
but the energy of closeness like that.
The boiler room thing, right, was genius. Like bringing it back into the intimate. I mean, it's gone really wild now. But
no, they did it for interesting viewing.
Well, they do it deliberately now to get on
yeah, but it doesn't matter why they did it, right?
But it happened.
The thing is it brought intimacy back. Yeah. To the connection between the DJ and the dance floor. And I think it's a really and I think turntablism really suffered from a lack of that. When you think of DJs now, you think of them on stage fucking miles away.
Well, I always notice the gigs, there's always a fucking massive gap. If there's a festival, I did one. It was just the place was wicked, but it was miles away. The crowd so far away.
And it's so why aren't people doing turntablism anymore? Well, because quite frankly, what's the fucking point?
No one can see it properly.
This is the thing, right? Jazzy Jeff, I think, is the guy who was saying this quite a lot. He's like, you're paying to 10,000 people, right, at a festival, right? There's probably 100 people who can actually see what you're doing at any one point in time. And so he's like, don't build sets that are based around the 100 people. Build it around the 9,000, whatever. Yeah. And I think, unfortunately, that has slightly killed stuff. So I do think if there's more of this kind of venue structure that's built around getting that intimacy back, reconnecting the audience to the DJ and stuff, I think we'd see more turntablism.
Well, we could make that work at Lost Horizons. So if your venue falls through, hit us up because I can make that work. Well, we can make that work easily.
It's funny you say that because I had a venue here, but that might have fallen through. But I've told Paul about this. I was going to ask you guys anyway because I think it would be the perfect fucking.
We wanted to do a competition at the Scratch Cafe, and that was our next thing after the podcast. So we look doing business on the podcast. But we can make that work, and we will happily.
But I just think it's a really unique format. I just think for the people involved, it was. I've already asked. I haven't invited anybody yet because I haven't got the rest of the prizes. But it would be prize money. Not crazy money, but it would be prize money. There'd be gifts off potential sponsors. One's already got on board. It's just I've got a few emails I'm waiting on replies from. But if anyone knows anyone or wants to, I can send them a plan.
I know some people who would want to get involved in that.
And
I mean, my business, OG Technics and Vestax would definitely put something in there. I know for a fact the School of Scrap, the Temple of Turntablism would.
It's just it's like what I'm trying to get some of the bigger boys like Technics involved, and it's just a bit of fun. And I think it gets rid of the whole nervousness of it all because you've got a 1 in 4 chance of getting number 4, and if you get number 4 and you go on it and you're fucking awesome, you win that round, right? Or you're shit.
What I quite like about it too is it's not actually an advantage in that scenario. Yes, you've got to do less sets.
Yeah.
But you've also had less opportunity to build a relationship with the audience.
And to
the person who comes on and wins each fucking thing, every time they win one, people buy into them and whatever. So actually, that person who comes on last, they've really got to smash it out the park.
You're building momentum, right?
That's it.
It all depends. You could do 2 sets. And when your number 3 comes in and they win, and you're knocked out. I think the crowd would be really into it, and also I want buzzers like fucking Britain's Got Talent, yeah. So it has to be, No, I do.
Are you going to be dressed as Simon Cowell?
Hugh Cowell.
Hugh Cowell.
Have you seen what Vector's been doing? Have you seen his
Flip
battle?
flops. I've never seen it, but I've heard of that. Because
Yeah.
Chris Cutts won it?
I actually don't know who's won it, but I've been kind of like dabbling in it here and there. But the thing that's cool about that is he does twists and stuff where it's a bit like what you're saying. There are some restrictions or some guidance that you have to follow.
Well,
like you got to do something cool with a needle, or
they have to do it from. I don't really know. I only saw him talking about it recently. I just saw it on Instagram. They have to do something with. It's a programmed track that everyone has to use.
Everybody has to use the same thing.
It's nice. It's not what I want to do, but it's like any innovative idea has to move stuff away. But I mean, as a crowd environment, this can be done very easily, and it just creates an energy. That guy's got a momentum. Then you've got the momentum from the other side. I'm gonna have a big belt made, like one of those belts, like this
a wrestling belt, yeah.
But it all depends if I can get the sponsors involved. If I can get it, and it's nothing to do with the competition with anyone else. Like DMC are amazing, and who else is there? The Goldie Awards, I missed. I used to enjoy watching that as well. And then the IDA, that's amazing as well. But I think this is a slightly different take on it, which I know no one's done before, and it would be UK invite only. And if you get the right prices, everyone will turn up.
Yeah. Are you going to compete again next year?
I'm not sure yet, because it's trying to find. I'm just trying to find work. Like and I'll be being honest, it's hard because my only income is teaching. I teach a lot of. Teaching this amazing place called Able in Cwmbran in South Wales. It's for adult learners with learning difficulties from the ages of I think 18 up to 50 or 60. And we go, me and my mate Tommy Boos, we do this thing that we do an individual one once a week, and then we do a group session. Mm-hmm. And mate, it's the best thing I do. I just absolutely love it. It's like
the videos that I see are awesome.
You get the most joy from that. Like Simon, the guys, the main guy does that, who runs it. It's just, he's amazing. All the people, because my sister's daughter goes there. She's got learning difficulties. So it's just, I just love doing that. But that's the sort of stuff I'm looking at. I did something up in the Rhondda Valley on Wednesday with a load of young guys and girls, only little dots like that, in a wild church in this place up in the Rhondda, like this area that's going to be knocked down soon and then rebuilt. They're just trying to get like something different for their children and stuff. So I do a lot of that, but it is hard to make the money coming in.
So is this your own thing, or are you subcontracting out to these charities?
Well, I'm just an individual, and then they pay me. But we just, it's hard to get the funding. The Welsh government don't seem to really sort of, they did it. We worked before with a different organisation. We got some Welsh government funding, but as an individual, it's hard to get anything because you've got to be a company and stuff like that if you want to go for certain grants.
Cool. So how could let's say, I don't know if we can, but how could we or a listener help what you're doing? Because not only is it your work, but it's actually a very fucking good thing that you're doing.
What we want, we'd like, for example, the Welsh government, for example, to embed us into a program, not just for 2 days or 1 day, for the year. Because what happened when we did our school tours about 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, we was doing it for like 3 months. It was just endless talent. Like we saw this talent and we couldn't retain any of it because once they're gone, they're gone. Yeah. So we want to try and do some kind of, not an elitist academy, but a where if we see talent, we can invite those in. But what we'd like to do is just go into the schools and have it subsidized by the Welsh government or anybody who's rich that can supply enough money for us, obviously, to make a living by. Because as soon as we do a grant, we give it away for free. Obviously, we get paid because can't work for nothing. But we don't charge the schools. If we got $6,000, we do $6,000 worth of workshops.
Yeah. So obviously, like, let's say on my very basic understanding of this, so a crowd fund would work or wouldn't work. And I'm asking this because if there is somebody listening who does have money or does have a way that this works, please get in contact with DJ XL. But I kind of want you to highlight why, or give somebody some ideas as to how they could help you and where to go if they can.
Well, it depends. We did build a website where it's called Hip Hop 12. That's what the company was going to be called. So 12 months of the year, you could sponsor January, February, March, April, May. You could go right the way through the year. And if we hit 2K a month, we could give so many workshops in the community for that money. And then you would just, you'd have your sponsored by, say, I don't know, sponsored by DMC or sponsored by Technics or sponsored by Barry's dustbin lids, you know, anything, whatever it could be. Any local businesses could get involved. So if we was looking at the website's built, we just didn't do it. And we were going to do it through GoFundMe and just do it every month in advance. You could say, right, January's up now, try and fund us for January. We're not asking for a lot. It's like, even if we got 1,500 quid, I mean, it's not much between me and Tommy, because there's a lot of work that goes into this.
Yeah, of course.
These
well, I want to help this. You probably do as well, judging by your body language, Dan. So like,
what we really need is that's amazing. I really appreciate it. But what we need is some kind of higher level long term. You know, that's what we're really looking for. Just because sport is a major thing in any school or any organization. And that curriculum thing in the schools where they cross music with dance, now it has to be the two together. And I think we're just not getting the support we need, unfortunately, where we are. Like, we're applying to Arts Council England for certain projects because I think hip hop's a little bit more accepted there.
Well, I think the problem with applying for grants is what you're doing needs to be in the front of the mind. And unless whoever you're applying for sees value, or there is something in the media about that, you're kind of ruined. So I think private investment or utilizing private investment or sponsorship is probably the safest bet.
Hardware providers are probably a good shout, because they will be able to sell gear to new beginners who get interested in it. Do you know what I mean?
But I've reached out for a few people, and you just don't get any reply. It's quite difficult to get that. But other than that, it's that's my role at the moment, is just trying to stay alive. I've got to keep an income going. Like, the year of DMC, my dad died, and I didn't work hardly at all. I've just been living off my savings and selling everything I can and get a job, and then I live hand to mouth. But I like the freedom of that, you know. I've always been in day jobs all my life, doing shitty jobs. And when my mum and dad passed away, the most important thing is time. 100%. Nothing else matters. It really doesn't. Even if nothing matters more than having the freedom. Like, I used to have to put my hand up to go for a slash. Yeah, I ain't doing that again. I didn't last long in places like that. But I don't as well. And I'm 54 now, and I think it's not that I don't respect it, but I'm not putting my hand up to have a piss. No. And I find that really difficult. So if I have to, like Christmas time, I was going to go and get a job over Christmas in Tesco or anywhere, just to get some money coming in the days I wasn't working. I don't give a shit. I've done everything. It doesn't really matter. But the freedom is more important than the money. But it's nice it would be nice to work consistently and make an average wage.
Well, we need to talk about that. We need to try
what you're working in there is rewarding. You know,
like
in a lot of other ways. Money's like, you got to have some money to pay some bills and shit. But actually helping people with learning difficulties because like the videos, they're having so much fun, right?
Well, those videos are I get so much engagement in those videos. And do you know what? They are awesome, those guys. I mean, when I first went there was a couple of the guys were a little bit scared. And now they come up. I let them know. I'm starting to know them all by name now. I start to look forward. I mean, it sounds bad. If I could afford it, I would do it for nothing. But I can't.
Yeah. Of course.
But I'm very grateful of Simon and Abel in Cumbrian. They do an amazing job, and they help people a lot, man. So even though we're into this ego thing of turntablism, it's all a bit of fun, isn't it? It's just a throwaway.
Well, at the end of the day, like, it's all about enjoying yourself.
It's teaching the younger kids that there's something else other than DJ, because no one knows what it is. When I teach turntablism, like, here's the thing. The year before last, we did, so many different schools and classes, and there's a part in it where I teach that hip hop came from DJing, primarily, and say, tell me the elements of hip hop. No one knows. No, not one person in thousands and thousands. I think it's about 20,000 children we taught in that time. not one of them could identify what hip hop was, even though it's embedded in everything they do now. I said, is Taylor Swift a hip hop artist? They go, no. I said, well, listen to her beats. Some of her beats are produced like hip hop tracks. It's influenced through hip hop. So everything is, I said, look at the clothes you've got on. Most of the clothes you wear is either basketball culture or it's hip hop culture. Almost everything you wear, every advert, every bit of graphic you see, almost all music genre comes from hip hop culture. So, but none of them knew what hip hop was. It's amazing, isn't it?
How did you find out what hip hop was?
Very good question, Dan. Very good question.
So I was born in 1865, British Columbia. At first, I was just wearing beaver thongs and
singing sea shanties
and snow boots.
Yeah, and, I always saw you as a Scottish pirate metal guy. But anyway, go on.
No, so I was what was I doing before that? I was into Adam Ant.
Nice.
Adam Ant was amazing because I got 3 sisters, right? So I grew up in the New Romantic period, right? And I'm very proud to say I did have amazing hair back then.
Good lad.
The flick like that.
Yeah.
Good lad.
And all of us were into the Adam Ant thing, and then the Spandau Ballet and all that, and all that sort of 80s goodness. Because 80s music is amazing. I don't give a shit.
Oh, I'd love it. Thompson Twins is one of my favorites.
Still bangs in the club, mate.
There's not one. Honestly, there's not one track really that comes on from the 80s if it's on an 80s album that I think is shit. Almost every song is an amazing, because I want to do an 80s mix, not even just really turntable style, just playing killer tracks because it makes everyone happy. Same with disco. You put a disco on it and it's fucking brilliant. It's an amazing genre, right?
Yeah.
But so I grew up with my 3 sisters. Curling tongs, crimp. We used to have crimp tongs. We used to put fucking purple mousse like your top.
I remember that stuff.
Crimp that shit, yeah?
Yeah.
And you'd be all doing all this crap. And then, where was I? I think it was just an electro. Oh, Breakdance the movie. That's what changed it.
People keep talking about this, don't they?
Yeah. Breakdance the movie come out, and then Tour de France, and we were just crazy for body popping. Me and my mate, there was a practice video, Breakdance the movie practice video, and our shop across the road, Tony, and it was quite a secluded area. He had a little video shop there, and me and my mate, my bestie Carlton, Rob Carlton, shout out to Rob Carlton, amazing dancer even now, even though he's 75 now. He's not really, sorry, Carl. We used to hire that shit out for 25 pence. 25 pence.
Not hip hop.
Yeah.
It was 25 pence, I think, a night to rent this DVD out, right? A video, sorry.
VHS.
So we used to just take that back and watch it. And it was like step by step, boom, boom, all that shit, one bit at a time. And then come up with all these really pathetic routines with our face on the floor and all. It was so camp. It was terrible. But we just obsessed by it, right? And then we realized that there was 20 or 30 other people in Cumbraound all doing the same thing. And then the electro series came out, and that really sort of kick-started everything. Changed everything. So it was all breakers. And then we used to have this thing a place called Maskell's down in Newport. It's a church now, but it used to be a roller skating rink. And I'm talking I was 13, 14. A roller skating rink, and it was Beach Street. Beach Street came out, and we went there every single Saturday, 5 till 6, breaking hour, right? And we used to battle each other. One sec, because Captain Barrett's doing a thing for the Welsh Hip Hop Culture Museum. Yeah, I met them last week, Saturday. This is my original top, which we were sponsored by Cumbraound Shopping. That's how small it is. When I was 13, right, Crazy Rock, and we got sponsored. I mean, look at the size of it. It's tiny. And that's my original top from when I was a kid, about 13 years old, 14-year-old there, breaking. So we all started breaking first.
Yeah.
Then graffiti, and then all the electro stuff came in. And I think I heard DJ Cheese do his DMC, and that was it. Game over. I thought, what the fuck is that? Excuse my language, anyone listening. But, if there's all 2 people listening, I thought, what the fuck is that? That's not a slur on you. That's just because I'm not very entertaining. I heard that, And you got to think there was couldn't get videos. I heard a cassette tape of that. I heard Richie Rich on Kiss FM doing like Clear, Cybertron Clear, just doing the Fresh thing over the top of that. And that's when I had that deck, which is the sawed off bit on.
Yeah.
UTFO track on there, trying to work out what was, trying to work it out.
Yeah.
What he was doing. Right. And I had the Magnificent Jazzy Jeff, you know, that track, the Magnificent, trying to work out his cuts. And that's how you innovate, because you can't see what everyone else is doing. And
yeah, I mean, this is the fascinating thing about it, right? Is now, you know, you can click a button and there's a tutorial and it takes you step by step through. I'm guilty of producing these things, right? So, but
very good, by the way.
Back in the days, oh my God, like you're just there, like listening to it. And when you think about how hard that actually is, because firstly, like, it sounds the way it does because of the record that's on there, right? Once you've been scratching for years, you can recognize the technique on different material. But generally speaking, it's like if you don't have the sound fresh, right, on a vinyl to do fresh with, you're going to have a really bloody hard time doing that. So, but that meant that people, they were still coming to the same conclusions, but they were naturally coming up with their own style, because you couldn't come up with somebody else's. You kind of had to.
There was no style, because you couldn't see what anyone else was doing. I mean, even in the 90s, when like we lived from year to year from watching the DMC video, right? And then we didn't go to London and watch everyone else. Like, this is why the 90s for us, for Wales, that 1 year in Wales, there was about 7 or 8 of us in the heat, so we fucking smashed it, because we weren't watching what everyone else was doing. We would, like, they used to come to my house, and my mum used to go fucking ballistic. They go to the bottom. We talked about this on Saturday. There'd be like fucking 20 pairs of trainers, and all stunk of fucking shit. And she goes, "Bloody stinks in here, Maya. Wash them fucking feet." And she didn't swear; she was lush, but. Well, make sure they wash their fucking feet next time. But we'd be all upstairs like that, around me taking in turns to go each other's house, yeah? So it'd be like fucking 10 or 12 just turntablists. We'd be watching each other like that, just fucking locked on. And I would see stuff that I thought they've done something there, and I think they're not gonna pick that up. They're not gonna pick up on that. And you take it, and vice versa, and everyone takes a bit off each other. But you saw glimpses of something, and and that's how we got better, because you're battling each other every week. Every single week we're in someone else's house. No one saw what we were doing. You couldn't see anybody else. And we came out with new shit, and it was good. It was really good. Because we were behind for a lot. Like, Random used to come down and just destroy us because he was wicked, you know, and he still is. But at the time, he was way ahead of us, and then we sort of leveled up. And that was it. I've had a laugh with him about it a couple of times, saying how many times he almost got beaten up when he used to come down to Swan. But it's true. He's a right character, and he was a character then. We was all a bit jealous, I guess. But when you step it up, it's good. It was good times. I mean, it's just, I'm so happy that I was in it from the beginning, more or less from the beginning. Obviously, not 85. 87 was my first one. And I've been in, you know, obviously I dropped out in the 2000s onwards, but it's already everything's sorted.
But you came back. You came back. But, and so we do have some standard stuff that we generally ask people, you know, who've been in the scene a long time. And so, and you've touched on a lot of this already, but it would be good to just hear it kind of succinctly, which is for anyone who's thinking of kind of taking on battling, getting involved in all of this.
Yeah.
What is it that you think makes a routine good? You know, what is a winning routine in your head?
When I used to battle, I would only try and beat the world champion or the UK champion, and no one else mattered.
Yeah, okay.
But even if someone was amazing, they weren't the champion, so I wouldn't have to worry about them. So I would only try and beat whoever the UK champion was, or whoever was the world champion. I thought that I got to be as good as that, or be so different that it stands out. So that's what I would say now. It's no different. Go and look at Fly or Fumi or any of those guys now. Let me just say, we'll come to that if you haven't got any time, but the DMC stuff, I would chat about that. But because Fumi, bad boy, the other guy who always gets missed out, Max Best, that boy.
Yeah.
You actually watch what he's doing and how creative his San Francisco set was just unreal. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Didn't get placed or anything. That's like it was a killer. Apart from mine, of course, which they didn't understand because they're all scratches in San Fran, which I had an amazing time. SF, sorry, not San Fran. But yeah, I would say just focus. There's too much going on to watch everybody. Yeah, because YouTube's amazing. Right? I still go on there if I want to learn how to do a certain cut. If I ever do it, I go on there and learn. But if you're a newbie starting that off, right, it's fucking so daunting. Most people will just turn away from it. Whereas back in the day where you were so keen, you didn't know if you were doing it good or bad, so it didn't matter. You just carried on because you didn't know. And then you got to a certain level before you realized you was either really good or ahead of the curve, or you weren't quite so. But then you're already in it, so you didn't want it. You wouldn't walk away from it. Whereas now, you go on there and you see, like I don't know, like Fumi or K-Swiss doing one of those sets. You're gonna go, fuck me, that's gonna take years,
mate. Fumi,
he's amazing.
Last year's DMC, that final. So Fumi, K-Swiss, Fly, right? Yeah. Jesus Christ,
that's the closest to an original, what I see as a DMC set, Fumi set, because it had the tricks. Yeah, right?
There was all the nudging of stuff with his chest and
loads of showmanship, tight, good music choice, right?
Yeah, some classics in there, My Love.
But I was entertained massively, and there wasn't a massive amount of buttons being pressed on that set. Even though they were, it wasn't the smash.
It was to move. It was to move between things. It wasn't
transitioning.
It wasn't a thing in itself. Yeah.
All you have to do is look at the comments.
Yeah.
Right. Look at the comments, and you can tell what people really want. They want old, like it used to be before, not vinyl, because you can't go backwards. But as it is now, they want a more nuanced style where it's a hybrid of what it used to be. And I think Fumi come this close to introducing where I think it needs to go backwards a little bit.
Yeah.
Just slow it down a bit.
Well, more turntable reliant.
Yeah,
it needs to be more turntable reliant.
More focused on where it came from originally. And this is not to say anyone, but some of it, like a lot, and I just don't think you shouldn't play your own tracks or tracks that you produce, because people just don't know what it is.
Well, that is the I agree with that.
Technically amazing, and I just don't understand it because I don't know what you've done with it, what you're doing with it. As we've talked about before, it's hard. It's a difficult one, but man, the talent on stage is awesome. I didn't really. I wasn't sure who won that competition because it was quite different in styles, but the one I enjoyed the most was Fumi.
Are you talking about 2024 UK? Yeah,
the world final.
The world. Okay.
Yeah.
The world final, because the one I enjoyed watching was that and Max Best.
Yeah,
he's just awesome. The guy is such. I met him. He's such a nice guy. His crew is so awesome. But I think the SF when he was in San Francisco, because there was a crowd poll and I came second. He came first. Out of the crowd, me and him came first and second.
That's really interesting, isn't it? Right?
Yeah, well, I knew I wasn't going to win. I spoke to Dan when we were, because Dan. It was amazing to me over in San Francisco, because I was ill as fuck. I had bronchitis there, and I was so sick. It was an absolute nightmare. This lovely couple I got talking to on the plane over, and I think I got it off them. Within 2 days, I was literally in bed for most of that. Really bad. And the guy I went with was Steve. He got me some like, not drugs, but I know it's California, but some flu stuff. Mate, I was hallucinating to the point. I had 2 hoodies on, trying to sweat it out. And then the Thursday night was the meet and greet. So I got out of bed, went there, and if you see all the videos and all the photos, I'm just fucking sweating like greasy. I was really ill. And then on the Friday, I think it was the Saturday. Oh my god, dude, I was so rough. And you'll see it. I'm on the deck. When I do the needle drop, it just goes.
Yeah.
It falls down because I was ill. And it threw me off my pattern, but I carried on going. And so I couldn't really focus. And we didn't have a lot. And I didn't practice for 8 days. We got there early. So by the time I went to go on, I had about an hour in the back, hour and a half in the back practicing, because I got there really early because I needed to practice. And went straight on cold, more or less, after that. And it was scary. It was.
And what you do as well is just not like, you need practice.
Yeah. Well, the fucking deck was upside down.
It's not muscle memory, 3-click flary. It's like bloody. It's like architecture.
Well, here's the difference, right? With this is like my set. It's a risk, and that's what you've got to do. I think the risk has gone, right? So there's a safe element to things. And even I see some of the sets I could not do. I couldn't do what you did. I couldn't do what Paul did. I couldn't do what Tommy Peanuts did. I couldn't do that. It's awesome. It's fucking brilliant. I just couldn't do it. So I don't even bother trying.
Yeah.
There's no point me trying. I'm wasting energy there because I can't never be as good as that. And I'm 54. My hand is this hand is completely fucked. Arthritis. So this is why I don't really scratch much either. But I'm good at ideas. And I come up with good tricks. I'm good with people, and I'm good on stage, and that's why I focus. Because I come up with this thing. The old back in the Wild West days, the pioneer days. They have the traveling man comes down and sells their elixir to make
snake oil.
One of these snake charming guys, and they come around, and they give them this thing. So I've come up with this like you said earlier on, a stage show. It's Huw Wackman's Magical Mysteries of the Turntable. And it's an event where you come in and I do demonstrations of turntablism, and and I have props, and I hold the prop up and the people have to guess what song it is by holding the prop up. So there was like Bonita Applebum. That was one of them. And I was thinking, I've got the apple and the bum sorted, so how would you do the Bonita? But like, for example, Sound of the Police, you put a fucking siren on your head. So it interacts with the crowd and all these different ideas. At one point, I was even fucking lip syncing to a song while DJing. So I'm singing, I'm dressed in a tuxedo. All these sort of, like I'm doing a stage show, like you said, it's more like, it's based around the intricacies of turntablism as a show rather than as battling, because battling is a show. It's for the crowd. It's not for anyone else. You're supposed to entertain the crowd, not the judges. The judge is there to judge you if you are good, but you're there to entertain the crowd and make them go, fuck me, that was amazing. I remember DJ David spun on the turntable and Qbert was before him, and I just thought, what the fuck is that? That is amazing. In my mind.
This is it. I did feel like the battle thing had kind of, I don't know, it just felt like there wasn't really, it doesn't feel like they're battles. I agree with you. It feels like they're little mini performances. Who likes what? Yeah,
there's not enough aggression. Not physical aggression, because that's bullshit. What I'm on about is like, for this year's DMC, I worked my ass off. Yeah, I came up with I recorded their names. I made sure I made tracks that all fitted. I put their fucking skin on my face.
Mate, the car that we went down in, obviously had four lads in it.
In that car, dude.
The props in the car journey, just like you had all sorts. You had fingers. You had fucking McDonald's
fingers in a McDonald's, like they were McDonald's.
No, I mean, I could guess that you were hitting the mixer hot cues with the toenails. That's only because I've got a technical background.
On the mixer. Yeah. Put the needle on the mixer.
Yeah. You break that set down. It's very, very intricate what I'm doing. I'm doing fader pitch all the way through those sets. I'm drumming with the track. So I'm drumming with the records and then using the fingers on the fader pitch. And I'm doing tone play and hitting the decks on this side. It's a really hard and complicated set. Like I said, I can't do what Tommy P and all those other guys, and you guys, you've got an awesome scratching. You're all amazing. It's not what I do. I do that, and what happens is the crowd, like it or not, they respond to it.
Yeah.
So first of all, they're all like, "What the fuck is that?" You know, what's he doing? And it's instant. You know,
Mate, it was
attention grabbing.
Yoke was fucked from half a second into your.
Well, I felt
first
quite
set.
bad because, like, if I'd known what I know now, I would have reversed my sets. So, although I did have Static's face stuck on my face, but I would have done those two sets for Yoke, and I would have done the other two. The problem, my final set, that backwards one, which I still think is my best, but no one got to see it. You couldn't see it.
Just for listeners who weren't there for this, I'll describe this quickly. So, you'd basically put like a little ridge on the. It was a pen lid on, like, stuck it onto the mixer at a specific point where basically you could then balance a record on it with a phase on it, and it would also touch and tuck into the record that was on the turntable. So what would happen is when the record on the turntable was spinning, the record that was sitting on the pen lid on the mixer would spin the opposite way, which is why you had to
play. The other deck wasn't in play.
Exactly, the other deck totally wasn't in play, and that meant that you had to do it backwards on one of them.
You had to make it backwards. But if you listen to the track, I use Public Enemy. Instead, it goes. You know what it says? No, 1 1 1 1 1 1 1. So when it goes backwards, it goes no 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 no, and that's why it was saying no one can defeat me. No no. No. So I don't know if people picked up on that. Right?
And what was cool was you also were wearing a T-shirt that, when you spun around, had no on it. Right.
I just wish I could get another opportunity. That's why I'd love to have hit the world final with that. I think it would have really shone. And this is why I want to just try my own thing. And if people want to get on board, you guys, I'd love for you guys to get involved. And I know I've got one of the
definitely up for it.
The bigger boys into it. Even if we just do it because
we'll help you in some way.
I want to get good prizes for it because that's the main thing. It's like get good prizes. Everyone will come down, just have a laugh. It's a new format, so it'll be a bit of a test to see how it works. There's going to be fuck ups. There always are. I've never done a battle. I've always had a battle idea in my head since I think it was like 1997. Me and my mate wrote one out. It wasn't quite like this, but a whole thing like similar to like the Goldie Awards. This is in 97. We were going to do it. I didn't know anybody. Now I've got a little bit more access to people, and I'm a lot more. I'll just ask anybody anything now if I need a bit of help. But I'm not trying to step on anyone's toes. It's only going to be a small little battle. That's all I want to do. But I just think there's scope for another format where it's just to see if it works.
Well, I kind of feel like Formula One is a really good example of that because, these sports, they get to the point where technology just allows everything. You've got to start restricting it, and you've got to come up with a formula that makes it interesting for the viewers. So I think you're onto the right track because at the moment it's just you can do whatever the hell you want.
You can literally do anything. And to be fair, there's this famous study done on jam jars, right?
On jam jars.
So here's a weird link for you. So if you put out 25 different jams in a supermarket all next to each other, you get lots of people come and look at jam, and they look at it and they go, "Oh right, this jam and that jam," and then no fucker buys any jam. You put 3 jams up, right? Not very many people come over, but all those people buy fucking jam.
Good.
Right? And the thing is like in turntablism today, right? Like you can
too much jam.
There's too much fucking jam. There's too much fucking jam. Right? We need 3 jam so that people can go and actually do some stuff with it rather than it's too fucking broad.
I agree with you. Here's a similar thing as when I moved to London when I was after university with all my mates. We lived in Brick Lane, right? It's like lots of Indian restaurants everywhere. It was amazing. I ate curry for a long, long time. I really used to love it, right? But I'd go in the restaurant. I was always terrorized by the fucking enormous amounts of dishes on the plate, on the menu. So I was always last trying to work this shit out, what to have. And I was thinking, then I got anxious about, I'll just fucking have that. And I had the same thing. And then I found one, and they only did 4 dishes.
You tried every one of them.
And then they switched them out, but only stuck to 4. And I go, I'll have that.
Yeah.
And it's better.
It's better, and I think you're right, that the kind of Formula One analogy. But you're right. Like, we've now got to a point where the possibilities are almost too big for people. You need some guide lanes. Are you thinking of doing public voting or judge voted?
Well, I don't know. I'm definitely want to have some buzzer for a laugh.
I can see this already in Lost Horizons. I can see how it's set out.
Well, I spoke to Paul about this. I have spoken to Paul, but I didn't want to say anything yet because I don't know if I can get anyone on board. Now I've got one person on. I'm still waiting on. I need to phone a few people up and see if they can help me out on it. Because once the prizes get in, then you can guarantee. Because it's a lot of work, and I want people to. If people are putting their, spending a lot of time, just give them a little stuff. Like everybody gets something rather than just one person. I want everyone to have something of some. I know it's a lot of money, but at least the top 3 get something really like banging. Do you know what I mean? If we can,
make it worth their while.
It's hard to be a totally original because DMC are the kings of it all. And they're amazing, and without them, none of us would be where we are. But just for me, for what I do, my style, like that Huw Wackman's magical show thing I was on about, that idea, I want it sort of like that, where it's more of it like a bit of fun, and not too technical and stuff,
Well, there's always lots of complaints about the technicality. Whenever I was looking at like the comments on DJ
it's a lot
Fly's
to do,
YouTube.
Don't get me wrong. It's like, I couldn't run one like what Dan did in Paris. That I wasn't there, unfortunately, but that looked fucking amazing. I mean,
that
last part. I mean, the battle. That looked fucking. I wouldn't know where to start. This is why a small little battle, but with a different concept, I think is a win, complete win. Something fresh,
Something fresh. Well,
so unstoppable.
I suppose it's time to wrap up, and I like to wrap up with 2 questions.
Okay.
That everybody gets, so to give us some consistency in our guests.
Good, lads. Like the time's gone quickly, so
it has, isn't it? One piss down, a million stories.
I appreciate you asking me.
No worries, dude.
It's really kind.
No, it's really good. We were the moment we started this. You were one of the first guys that we were like, we need to get DJ XL.
I want to give a shout out though to Mr. Lee White, who gave me an amazing. He does a thing for flowers on his TikTok thing. I don't have TikTok, so I didn't know.
Luke Skywalker.
Luke.
Yeah.
He's he won't mind me calling him old because he's an older boy like myself, and he's a champ. And the thing I got the most out of DMC when I won it was the people of my age or roundabouts who said to me, "We're so glad you won it, but it made me feel as if I could carry on doing it myself." And that was fucking. You wouldn't believe the messages I had. I had some amazing people just saying that was awesome. A lot of people just said, "What's Grandpa doing on there? You can't."
I love how you spun that though. I love how your battle video pre-battle was you dressed as a tortoise.
Yeah, of course. And then it was all, this isn't like messing around. It was just a bit of fun. But I was confident. But Lee, thank you, dude. That was amazing. I always respect anyone who gives me a bit of props because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I've been thrown into this from nowhere after 25 years. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not practiced enough. Right. But I only have to practice for 6 minutes or 5 minutes, 40 seconds or 4 1-minute rounds. That's all I have to do. So my advice, you don't have to be amazing. You just have to be amazing at 6 minutes. And you have to be amazing at 4 90-second rounds. Forget being the best. Make them sets the best, and you can get better after. Just make sure that they kick ass. And you can be the best in the world. You don't have to be the best in the world to be the best in the world.
Best in the world. Yeah. Right. So that moves us on then to the final couple of questions that I like to ask. And I do have to pin you down on this one, XL. Right. So what is your favorite DMC routine ever?
Ooh. Fucking hell, that's a difficult one.
You nearly did as good a fucking hell as random then. You were that close.
Fucking hell, fucking hell, mate. Right, random.
Fucking hell.
Fucking hell, fuck it. I love all random. I love it.
He's fucking amazing, isn't he?
He just says the cunt word and he doesn't give a shit. And I love that. Yeah. I lived with an Aussie guy when I was in London, and he was from a part of Australia where cunt is like mate.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, he's all right, cunt, isn't he? Yeah, cunt, fucking cunt. It was unbelievable hearing this dude talk. It was every word was cunt. And this poor woman was there. She just couldn't handle the pace. She
Yeah.
couldn't handle the truth. Best routine ever. That is throwing me on
Best
the spot.
DMC set ever.
Set
Your
ever.
favorite.
Jesus,
Your
that's-
favorite.
That's really, because I haven't thought about it at all. It's going to be really weird. I don't know what his name is. I don't actually know what his name is. It's not what someone you think it is. I don't know if you've seen it. This guy, it's DJ Magico or something like that.
Yeah.
And he does something, and the deck just tips up and down on its corner. He plays a track, and it just bounces, and no one could work out to this day how he did it. It just goes boom, 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 boom. And this, obviously, I'm more drawn to those sort of
Yes.
Yeah.
And he does this thing, and DJ excuse me for if I devastated your name, DJ Magico or Magic, something like that. And it just starts bouncing. It's a Big Daddy Kane track, I think. And it starts doing this thing, and it's fucking, I was like, what the fuck is that? It's amazing.
What year was that from?
Oh man, one of the American finals, like years. It might even been one of the heats, yeah.
If anybody's watching this on YouTube in the comments and they know, please add it.
I just slaughtered his name, but he literally just starts rocking on the turntable, just starts going up and down. He's doing this thing, and it just starts bouncing. That for sort of like shock value and like innovation, that's what you need. It's amazing. But it'd be easy if I can say which DJs. So DJ Noise, just the slickness of that guy. He's awesome. Love you, DJ Noise. Amazing. And Cash Money set 88. It's just calling me a sucker boy, you sucker boy, calling me a sucker boy, you're pushing a broom. It's like I knew every bit of it. We all knew every bit of it. It's one of the sets that we learned ourselves. Yeah. And then it's so like good. It's just beautiful, isn't it? And then on the old mixers, the old Gemini mixer as well.
Yeah.
I could go on forever, but those ones that really stood out to me. I liked a lot of the guys when they used to do team battles, who were like the Italians, and they were doing this random shit. And one of them looked like they were hugging each other. Did you see it? And then one was doing the crossfader with his ass or his balls. And the other one had his hands, and they were hugging each other, and it looked like they was having a ding dong. Right? He was face on with him, like you're straddling, like your missus puts her legs around you like that, you're giving a bit of num num num, and he was doing that, and then he was giving it this, and it looks odd, but those times were fucking brilliant because you didn't know what was coming next. And then that other guy, Francesco Van Zappala, the Italian dude, just amazing, like lifting his leg up and stopping the deck, lifting his leg up, and he used to do it. He used to backspin with his fingers like that, throw his hands around. All those crazy tricks. And I think it was the Filipino guys come on with a massive record about fucking 5 foot wide like that. It was just absolutely brilliant, To me, that is, without that, you wouldn't have what we've got today, DJing, it's number one, I'm not dying. I feel it's difficult because the venues and people have changed. When they go out, they're not really that interested in the music as much. Like we used to go out in Swansea, and the 30 of us drive down in cars, and we'd be doing the WAP like that, doing that. I mean, a lot of young people now, they'll never know the beauty of listening to a Stevie Wonder track, right? Or ever experience that. I know everyone says, "Oh, that music's shit now." I'm not saying music now is shit, but when I heard a track, the first time I heard Public Enemy, the number one with "Blow Your Head," J, I thought it sounded like Egyptian. We were all doing the King Tut to it because it goes wow, 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 wow. We was all down in Argos car park because it was all polished, giving it this shit, just sniffing fucking Tipex thinners. Oh yeah, I did a bit of that. Yeah, and PR spray. Yeah, in the lid, rocking that shit. Yeah. Sorry, mum. Sorry, dad. That's what we did, and just breaking and. It was just so new, because it sort of went from disco rapping overnight to Public Enemy and Kane. And it just changed all for me, like musically. But going back to the DJs, and one person I want to give a shout out to, which I never really battled him, but one person I thought, fuck me, that guy he's got something real different, is First Rate. I used to love watching First Rate. I thought he was like underrated for sure, that guy. I mean, some of the shit he was doing, rocking it on his back, and these drills used to go. Have you watched First
I
Rate?
haven't seen.
No, I've never
I'm
heard
gonna
of
have
it.
to
No.
look at-
It's in the
look
Scratch
them
Perverts. Yeah. So if you don't know
right, okay.
if you don't know First Rate, you have to go and watch First Rate. How the fuck don't you know First Rate?
Because I only started juggling 3 years ago, and
I'm
I've
joking.
only just literally just been introduced by
Go
this
and,
podcast.
go and watch DJ First Rate. I almost battled him once in Swansea, I think. I don't know what happened. We didn't end up happening. But I used to love I love watching him. He was he was awesome, man. He was very innovative. He's similar to me in one respect. Like we were very similar in that respect. We try shit and not be. I mean, how many people now are going to try and lift the turntables up and take a risk? It's a big risk.
Well, hopefully more after this podcast.
Let's hope so.
Hopefully more.
Do it.
So the last question.
Yeah,
The last
sorry.
question. So this is a bit of a weird one, but I like to ask it. So we've been speaking to DJ XL, Huw Wackman.
Who?
No,
Who's fucking Huw Wackman? Is that Grange Hill?
Huw Wackman. There we go. I fuck up everything. Huw 52 man. Yeah.
Huw.
Huw Wackman. We've been speaking to DJ XL, Huw Wackman. Now, if both DJ XL and Huw Wackman were just going to disappear off the earth in the next 10 minutes, what would the last thing you would say as those two characters?
Right. What I would say out of those two, could it be anything?
If they'd never had if they're not going to have a voice in 10 minutes, you've got the last chance to say something as those two characters. What would it be?
Love you, mum and dad. I miss you forever. You're fucking awesome. Without you, I wouldn't be fuck all. Love you. Love all my family, my boy, everybody, all my mates, you guys, all turntablism, you lush. Time is more important than anything else. Fuck me, Annie. Fuck you, money. I need some. So give me some. Oh, before we go, I got two sponsors, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
First, it's Germaloids. I just wanted to say thank you. It got me through a lot in San Francisco, and especially my first DMC in Boomtown. Without you, I wouldn't have been able to anywhere close. And secondly, we can all agree. Thank you. I just want to say thank you for your continued support, and I'll need you a little bit more going forward.
Thank you for keeping me upright.
2025, yeah. I've got a new trick it's called the Viagra cut.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to do. So I appreciate it. Is that okay?
I think I'll leave you to wrap up.
Well, so thank you so much for
boys, that was amazing. Thank you.
Spending time with us, man. And I mean,
it was awesome.
You're one of the most innovative DJs in the UK, and I'd say in the world, and I think you know this already, but it is one of those things of it's so nice to see someone doing something different. And really cool as well to hear that, there's, because we do have a lot of listeners who probably have put the decks down, because that happens, right? That's life. And it's to have someone go back into it and just bring some of that old school and some of that fire back to it and give permission to other folks, who've had that, and say, you can still do this. You can still go and have fun. You're not past it. You're not, I think it's really inspiring, man. So thank you so much for being a part of our podcast.